Hello everyone and welcome to my next video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, where I'm going to be taking on the Fangs of Promise Part 15 level 180 Chaos quest. And here I'm going to be bringing a team of Cloud, Serah and WoL with a Charlotta support and Ramuh as a summon. So it's finally happened. Chaos is finally here in Global, and that definitely did not happen with the Furnace Keeper's Chaos because you can hardly call that Chaos. And this Chaos, they're completely fucking different. This is actually the real shit. This is much more of a challenge than the Furnace Keeper's one was. And I've been seeing there's been people struggling with it. There's been people using gem clears even. I mean, gem revives. I mean, to me, that's kind of... I wouldn't do that because it's a matter of personal pride, but at the same time, I kind of get where they're coming from because, yeah, this one actually really needs you to strategize and really needs you to kind of have an incredibly strong team that is well suited for the event. Like, there are not that many characters that can perform optimally here, and even if you have a strong roster, you're probably going to be using like 2 of the same 3 characters, and then maybe your third one can be like someone else. Like, you could definitely get creative, don't get me wrong. I've seen people complete it with Noctis, I've seen people use all kinds of characters. I think I've seen one with Pain, but you're probably going to have Serah in there somewhere, you're probably going to have Charlotta, you're probably going to have WoL. You know, they really help. So to start with this one, so I had Tidus EX lying around in my inventory. To date, the most expensive EX weapon I ever pulled. I had to pull like 100k gems for it. It was rage pulls. It was not recommended at all because I barely even used the goddamn thing. But I decided that today was the day I was finally going to make it useful, and I've used it as ingot fuel for Cloud's EX, and I now have a fully realised, fully purple Cloud, and he is an absolute monster. There is nothing else I can say. He's a complete joy to use. He's really fucking strong, and I know for a fact that as Chaos progresses and more characters get EX pluses, he is going to get power crept, and seeing how powerful he is right now, it terrifies me. The exponential leap that the power scaling in this game is going to take. It's like, you think that if you thought that level 50 to level 60 was a huge jump, right? But level 60 to 70 was quite a mild jump, and if you thought that level 70 didn't count for much, it's because the real power creep is the EX plus. And yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I have here my lovingly crafted Cloud with full perfect artifacts and every passive under the sun. I've got his World of Illusions weapon, his mannequin weapon, you know, pretty much everything. I will say that Cloud's World of Illusions passive for this quest is actually quite important. What is it? It's this Deadly Rush, isn't it? Yeah. Removes 1 buff when ability is a critical hit. So these bosses have a really irritating tendency of buffing themselves up, and they also have the Chaos property of giving themselves invisible buffs when they start losing health. And if you let them buff themselves up with the visible buffs and the invisible buffs at the same time, you're going to have a bad time, and you're going to want a way to deal with that. And that way for me is Serah. So the Serah that I sacrificed far too many hours of my life trying to farm up is incredibly useful here. With the I've got, you know, triple perfect artifacts. Please don't ask me how many hours that took. I can't even remember. I've long since suppressed that from my memories. But I was kind of slightly disappointed, even though I was really happy that Ramza got his rework and Ramza was, like, you know, coming to the forefront. I kind of thought it was a shame I didn't get as much chance to use Serah as I thought I would. So I'm happy to see her being really useful here. Like, you know, I'm going to say, yeah, Cloud has the purple weapon and Cloud does the big deeps, but I'm going to say that Serah's actually MVP for this. She makes it really a lot more manageable. And I am going to upload another run as well without Cloud in it, because I know not everybody will have thrown ingots into him. I mean, not everyone will have all the characters I have anyway, that's just how it goes, but it's still very possible to complete this without using any EX plus, and I do want to demonstrate that. Of course, I've got Mr. You know, Captain America himself, WoL, in 3rd place for those goat shields, because they're pretty much needed in this quest. Well, they're not necessary actually, no. I do have comps that work without WoL, but he just makes everything so much easier. Because his EX, you can actually use it for healing. He's the only source of healing we have in this lineup, if you don't count Charlotta's regen. She's a friend. And yeah, those shields just make everything so much more manageable. But another thing that WoL is good for is Throw Buckler actually inflicts a framed debuff, because it inflicts lock, which you're actually going to want. You're going to want as many debuffs as you possibly can to stack on the enemy, because you're going to push off their buffs, because they will periodically rebuff themselves throughout the fight. and you just don't want to leave them lying around. So you push off as many buffs as you can with WoL and Serah, and then you have Cloud dispel the remaining ones, and you're going to have a much easier time of it. So I'm actually bringing Charlotta here as a friend unit, because when I was playing this before, I had difficulty. I tried it with a Cloud friend, but I had trouble deciding when to actually swap him in and use him, because if you're bringing in Cloud, you're not going to want to swap out Serah, because she has the massive attack buffs. Like, she has the 30% aura, 60% generic buff, 10% another aura on CS68. She buffs attack by 100%. So if you're having Cloud in and you're not having Serah in, it's kind of silly in my opinion. You're going to want her buffs, because the bosses do get pretty high defense as they drop in health. You're going to want as much attack as you can, but that means taking WoL out of the equation. And if you take WoL out of the equation, then when the enemies attack, you really just, you take the full brunt of their brave hits, and you can't always shave it down. And especially if they use AoE attacks, they like to spam AoE brave HP attacks, and you don't have wall shields up, then you're either going to have to waste a turn with your friend Cloud, or you're just going to like eat a lot of damage, which is just probably going to kill the run, to be honest, if not your characters. So Charlotta, in my opinion, is, with this kind of a comp, is much easier to use, because Cloud, he gets his EX almost every other turn. When you can spam abilities with Cloud, he's not going to run out. You're going to just fire off EX after EX, which is incidentally our main source of damage in this quest. Cloud is pretty much the hyper carry right here, and it's just, yeah, make sure he survives to do his job, which is eye-wateringly huge amounts of damage. So without any further ado, let's jump into it and see how well this goes. Okay, I appear to have a full inventory. If you'll hold on for a moment, I will cut to after I've sorted out my inventory. Alright, well, I didn't expect that to happen, to be honest. Okay, so here I'm going to cross-slash on B so we can get the HP plus attack, and whenever you break these bats they drop down. So because this one's targeting Cloud and he's going to be dumping his brave, we want this one to be like taking a dirt nap. And we also get the Paralyze, which is nice because it allows Serah to do more damage. So we're just going to Shining Shields on everyone, and you can just use a HP attack here. No need to waste skills if you don't need to. Yes, even Serah with her many skills will run out of them eventually if you spam them with reckless abandon. Okay, so the ideal turn order here is to get I'm not gonna lie, is to get Serah up in front, which doesn't seem to have happened. So I'm gonna burn another cross slash. Okay, so because wound is AoE, that's what I'm going to be going for. And we don't even kill any of them. That's really annoying. But we do get to get up Moonlight Plus here. So, okay, that's fine. Oh, this is going really inefficiently compared to the runs I was having before. But I'm not going to reset for the turn order. I'm not going to do it. Normally, like, Serah goes first, and I can use Moonlight first, and everything is gravy, but apparently not this time. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and use a critical crush here, just so we get the extra max bravery to play with. Because normally I would do like finishing touch here, but I don't want to waste an EX while it's up. All that delicious damage. Okay, so we get to use a finishing touch here, at least. More of a waste of skills and turns than I had hoped for, unfortunately, but, you know, sometimes it do be like that. So yeah, there's no need to worry about using cross/plus over here, because the bosses in the Chaos version are immune to paralysis. So it's absolutely not a waste to use paralysis on these guys, because you can't even paralyze the bosses. Here we are. So I'm going to break A here with Throw Buckler, and actually Cloud is probably going to have Meteorain up, so it doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to try it anyway, but normally what I try and do is I break A first, because A is going to buff. You see, it's that brown coloured all attack. So we leave A broken and we only attack A. So that way, essentially, you let it buff after B takes its turn. But we don't get to do that here, probably. But I'm going to throw a Buckler anyway, because it will inflict a debuff. Yeah, so Cloud gets Meteorain, and it's just dumb to not use Meteorain every chance you get, because it does so much damage. So it's going to break B, but we should be fine because we've all got wall shields, so, you know, we should survive. And here I am going to take the opportunity to use Moonlight. I prefer to use Moonlight earlier on in the fight. I use Moonlight when I'm high on Brave, because it multiplies and overflows. Later on in the fight, these big things become much more resistant to damage. So I'll use Wound when I'm high on Bravery, so I can get the splash damage, and I use Moonlight when I'm a bit lower. That's kind of how I go for it. So I'm just going to Moonlight here. So they are going to throw on a ton of buffs. And yeah, this is really kind of a bad spot to use Ultimate Arrow, because it's just going to do like no damage. But we need to stack as many buffs, as many debuffs as we possibly can on here to push all of these buffs off. And Ultimate Arrow is a frame debuff, so perfect. Yeah, more damage than I thought. So even though A is unbroken, I'm going to attack B, because what we want is the target lock on both of them, both to push off buffs, and also because these bosses have a habit of using attacks that inflict debuffs, even in single target. So definitely get Buckler up on both of them if you're using Wall right at the start. I think that's the best course of action. And with Cloud, try and save your finishing touches until you need them. So yeah, he gets attacked down there, which is unfortunate. With Cloud, the enemies are gonna see this all attack might be a Brave attack, or it might be a Brave HP attack called, like, I think it's Erdgeist's Power. And if it's the Brave HP attack, then you'll all get inflicted with debuffs, and one of them is Max Brave down. But with Cloud, if you use Finishing Touch and then you have Moonlight from Serah, you can actually push off all the debuffs and your Cloud will be totally fine. So I prefer to save Finishing Touch until either the buffs are about to run out or I get debuffed, and then I can kind of get my stats back, because it really helps, you know, no joke. So I'm going to use Wound here because Wound inflicts, you know, more debuffs. Actually, no, I'm going to use Moonlight because we don't have the Moonlight debuffs. And then always watch out for the framed buff from Wound, so we're definitely due to refresh that. So here I could just use HP++, but I'm not going to, because Serah has no shield and we're about to get attacked, so definitely you got to keep an eye on these things, because if I was to not use Shining Shield here, that would kill the run. These guys would just kill us, so, you know, pay attention. So here I'm going to reapply Wind Plus. In fact, first I'm going to use All Advance, because that'll give Cloud a little bit of overflow on his attacks, or a little bit more overflow, I should say. So that did a good like over 140k damage. That's insane. So there's the attack I'm talking about. So there, we got turn rate down and max brave down, which is not great. And you can see we've been stuck with max brave down. But if we use finishing touch, we get 4 buffs, and then you use Moonlight and you get another buff, and then you've got shield and Mako, so that takes up the full 6 slots. So that's what we're going to aim to be doing with Cloud. So here is where I'm just going to use Shining Wave for heals, basically. which does decent damage still thanks to Serah. And yeah, I'm going to use Ultimate Arrow. So here's where I'm going to do a finishing touch. Don't need to reapply Buckler just yet, but it would be a good opportunity to do it and to break the enemy, so I'm going to do it. We're okay here for now. So we didn't lose any damage there on Cloud, and now he's got his EX back. But if we use Moonlight with Serah, there we go, Cloud's fixed. That's how I prefer to do it. Let's reapply shields everyone. Okay, so that's totally fine. Oh wow, he missed. So I mean that would have been fine because we have wall shield for that. So B is going to be applying some buffs. Which is not really what I want to happen, if I'm being honest. So I've got to refresh my buckler on this guy anyway, because that's about to run out. Yep. So I'm actually going to use all advance here, so the debuffs will get off of Serah. Yep. Nice 0 damage there, mate. Let's see here. So okay, so here I can see the enemy's about to recover from break. So what I can do is I can use my CS65 here to burn a turn, let it recover from break, and then I use Meteorain, and then I'm going to swap wall out for Charlotta, and we're just going to do something. There we go. So one of the things I like about Charlotta is that she can set up instantly like this. So she doesn't really need to waste any turns. And the turn order's perfect as well, because she goes right after Serah. So, yep, I'm not about to have you rebuff, let's just go into summon. And then we absolutely Moonlight here. With a battery on Charlotta. And Serah just stole a turn like she does sometimes. Wow, that's like no damage at all. I'm gonna Brave attack there. I don't want a HP attack, because that way I'll be able to Moonlight for Charlotta, and I've let Unshaken Will wear off, which is bad. Okay, so let's think things through here. If I would like to use another Crystal Generation with Charlotta, but if I do that, then I'm not going to get wall back before it's her turn, if you see what I mean. That's just not going to help. So I'm gonna have to get wall back in for the all attack on this guy. There's no helping that. Charlotta did her job. And Serah's shields are, you know, we need to refresh our shields. Let's get this guy down. I've not used WoL's CS 65 yet either. Okay, so that was not Erdguy's power, so I've actually lucked out, kind of. I definitely need to get wound up again on Serah. That was kind of my bad for letting that wear off. See, we all make mistakes. Okay, so speaking of CS65s, let's use it. We need to refresh taunt on this guy. See, our damage is just completely fallen off a cliff right now. So do we have... we do have Goddess's Light on them. So I could use my EX here, but I want to get off their buffs. So I'm actually just going to use another wound instead. So that thing is definitely going to use its HP attack. So I'm going to save the finishing touch for that. Go. So now I can break A. I use Moonlight. Defense speed up, enfeeblement up. How many buffs am I going to push off if I use Moonlight? Let's do this. There we go, the last attack. We got stuck with Max Brave down anyway. I thought I could get the enfeeblement off, but no, it's the one thing you're not going to get off. Oh well. I'm all out. Okay. Oh well, rip. Meteorain. And let's get... We won't be able to kill B in time, like not a chance, so I want to get A out of here. This should be it. There we go. So, manageable if you have the right team. Serah really helps, and so does Cloud right here. So, that's going to be my first clear of this event. I'm going to do another one as well, and in that one I'm not going to use any EX+. So you kind of have to stay tuned for that one. But I hope this has maybe helped some people out there get an idea of maybe what they're doing wrong, things to kind of take account of during the fight. And I hope you've enjoyed watching. And that being said, until next time, take care and see you later.